Biden special counsel. Earlier today, Hunter Biden was convicted of 2 counts of lying on a form submitted to a federal firearms dealer about his addiction or use of crack cocaine and possessing a firearm while a user or addict. There have been 2 overarching themes emphasized by the prosecution during trial: this defendant's illegal choices and the rule of law. First, while there has been much testimony about the defendant's abuse of drugs and alcohol, ultimately this case was not just about addiction, a disease that haunts families across the United States, including Hunter Biden's family.
We continue to follow that breaking news. Hunter Biden has been found guilty on 3 felonies related to a purchase of a gun in 2018. He was accused of lying about his drug use when buying that revolver. Let's bring back Chief Washington correspondent and moderator of The Hill, Blake Berman. Blake, you and I just listened to Special Counsel Weiss break down the reason why he moved forward with this case and why he has won. He thanked the jury. We heard him thank the jury. He thanked his team. Were you surprised by what he had to say, and or clearly he chose not to take any questions?
Yeah, he can't talk at this point because he still has, there's still another case out there. There's the tax case, which he alluded to, in the state of California later this year, starting on September 5th. Again, we were talking about Alvin Bragg before and Donald Trump. It was a sort of a different scene, right, Nick? Because that was it. That was the end of it, and that's why we saw Alvin Bragg take questions in that scenario. Totally different here for David Weiss, because there is still an outstanding case here for Hunter Biden. And so while there are the 3 felony convictions and questions about sentencing and questions about what that may or may not look like down the road, it should not be lost that there is still another case out there, the tax case for Hunter Biden, and that could potentially be even more treacherous for him. And again, there are a few felony counts in that case as well. The difference is this time he goes into that case as a convicted felon.
Blake, do you believe it was deliberate that he also thanked the state's attorney general, Merrick Garland?
No, I honestly wouldn't read into much of what David Weiss did and did not say there. There's still outstanding litigation. He didn't have to, but you kind of have to go out to the mic and thank the jury and why the rule of law stood up, so on and so forth. Well, we've seen that in the past, and we'll see that going forward. But the bottom line here, Nick, is he can't say much because there's still another case out there.
It was interesting, though, Blake, to point out that he made it clear that even though we, the media and people writ large, have been talking about addiction and how Hunter was an addict, he was clear that this was not about addiction. This was about the illegal choices that Hunter Biden made.
Addiction, as he rightfully pointed out, is a disease that impacts tens of millions of Americans all across this country. And by extension, their friends, their families, their co-workers, their communities, anyone that cares for them and is with them and around them. As David Weiss pointed out, though, there's a difference between addiction and the choices that Hunter Biden made. And those choices, as he pointed out, are what put Hunter Biden in this position. Now, there are, of course, those who would make the case that this case wouldn't have been brought up if his last name wasn't Biden, and if his father wasn't currently the president of the United States and running for re-election. Again, to bring this back to Donald Trump, as there are folks who would say, in that case, Donald Trump wouldn't have been prosecuted if he wasn't a Trump, if he wasn't a former president, and if he wasn't the presumptive Republican nominee for president. Those are arguments to be made on both sides of the aisle, and really could strip out the politics and talk about it and debate the merits, so on and so forth. But the reality for Hunter Biden right now is this is the position that he's in. This is what he's facing. And by extension for his family, which includes his father, the president of the United States, the presumptive Democratic nominee for president, there are now a lot of tricky and thorny issues for President Biden and his campaign as to how they deal with this.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.